Hello everyone, welcome back again to Spiritual Growth Tarot and Astrology. And yes, this one is for astrology. It's our transits for the week of December 10th through the 16th. I had to stop and think about that, I think. Yeah, I'll look at my notes here. 10th through the 16th. The cool thing is that we have the new moon coming in Sag at about 20 degrees of Sag. That's on the 12th, and then on the 13th we have Mercury going retrograde. I don't know if you guys will think that's cool or not, but anyway, I tend to not mind it when it happens. So Mercury retrograde at 8 degrees of Capricorn. So let me just swap out cameras and take you over my table into my iPad, and we'll go through these charts day by day. Okay, hold on. Okay, so starting off with the, I guess the longest lasting transit that lasts until Christmas Day would have to do with this square from Eris to Pluto. So Eris, remember, is our feminine counterpart to, holding space to providing equality to the sexes, feminine equality, basically. It's the feminine struggle for equality. And with the square to Pluto, of course, these are both cardinal energies, so there's movement oriented. But with Pluto and Capricorn on the dark side, there's the oppressive, corrupt masculine that wants to hold the feminine down. And on the light side with Eris and Aries, she ain't be having that. This is not happening. And she will win because she moves slower than Pluto. Pluto takes 243 to 248 years to get around the zodiac. Eris takes 558. So, the slower moving planets, and in these cases we're talking dwarf planets, as is with Ceres, the slowest moving one wins because it doesn't give up. And we can see that in, just watch the news. Every time I'm watching anything on MSNBC, there's throughout the day, here and there, or throughout the week, probably. I don't watch all day. But I do see things pop up about Roe v. Wade and reproductive rights, and women in either dire need for their life, to support their life, or for some other major reason, needing an abortion, needing a medical procedure in order to stay alive, and living in a state where it's illegal now. And then also what else is on the news has to do with doctors, OBGYNs, and emergency room, doctors leaving those states because they don't want to be sued. And the law isn't clear as to whether they can, do what they can effectively to save a person's life. So some of these women are literally being, out in the parking lot waiting until there's that dire, there's enough blood loss or enough something to let them come into the emergency room. That is just a disgusting amount of corruption. And that is probably one of the best ways to explain the light and dark side of Pluto and Capricorn and Eris and Aries. So what else? Let's see. With Neptune, with the in conjunct to the South Node, again, Neptune is our divine source energy on the light side. On the dark side, it's, just being all over the place and victimhood and cult-like mentality, belonging to a cult, being numbed out, addictions, chaos. But on the light side, it's everything to do with, dissolving any challenging issues as well. And in Pisces, that can definitely happen. It's also Pisces is so connected, and Neptune is the natural ruler of Pisces. Pisces is very connected to all forms of art and music and devotion and sensitivity and psychic abilities and seeing the big picture. So, and it's also connected to immigration. And with this in conjunct quincunx to the South Node, we've been, this has been going on for quite some time. And we just have it for one more day. On the 11th, this will be out of orb. But we've had this connection to understanding the past in our own personal lives, understanding more and more of the past. I hear that with my clients all the time, and even people that comment on, the dailies that I do with the tarot. There's just so much healing that's been happening, so much awareness, so many new, dots connected as to healing the past. And women more and more and more, well, women and men, everyone's more empowered than I've ever seen. And those are all of the people who have been working with, in the light with Capricorn, going through Capricorn, because the more that we have, and you can remember, it wasn't too long ago, we had this sextile between Neptune and Pluto going on. And we had these opportunities to come more into our integrity. The light side of Capricorn is having your sense of self-responsibility, excuse me, and your duty, and controlling yourself, putting in the hard work to get inside of who you really are, and pushing away any narcissistic tendencies that people are bringing onto you, pushing away other people who are just not respectful, holding a strong boundary with those types of tendencies coming at you, and holding your own. Bottom line, being in your integrity, aligned with the laws of love, and being in your authority. So again, back to that, we're not taking it anymore, right? And then the other important thing that I want to focus in on as well, at least for right now, has to do with Ceres. Now, a lot of people like to look at Mars and the Sun together, but they're 7 degrees apart. Ceres and Mars are only 5 degrees apart, and the Sun's going to move forward. Mars isn't going to catch up to be conjunct. So, at least not for the near future. But Ceres and Mars together, again, Ceres is that, again, feminine protectiveness. She's the dwarf planet that's really connected to humanity and animals. It's all connected to everything that is ruled by, nurturing, such as food and agriculture, but also all of the different transitions that a woman goes through during her life with her reproductive system. So again, here we are with Ceres and Mars together. That's the momentum, right? This Sag energy is geared towards honesty. It's geared towards intuition. It's geared towards a direction that we go. And remember, it's ruled by Jupiter. So the direction should be hopefully aligned with the truth. Now, if you're a part of this evangelical Taliban that thinks that a woman doesn't own her own body and she's just chattel, then because some scripture says so, which isn't true. It's not true at all. If there is any scripture that says so, a man wrote it. It didn't come from spiritual law. It certainly didn't come from the heavens or any cosmic truth at all. But man will distort things and say, oh, God told it. God said it. God told me that. Who do they think they are? And always the clue is it aligned with love? Is what they're saying aligned with love? Or is it aligned with domination and power over and control and, So there could be some of that we're still seeing. I mean, of course there will be. But especially with Ceres, even though it's a waning square to Saturn, Saturn rules a government. And in Pisces, it can try to be very slippery and, what's the word? Slimy, basically. Just think in terms of Mike Johnson, the new House Speaker. Man, that guy has so many secrets, so many dark secrets. I've done a few in-depth readings on him, and I've just been blown away. And Lori over at the Way of Positive Change, her and I've been doing some live streams together, and she's, and all the separate readings she's done alone on him, we're just blown away at how dark and slimy this little guy is. So with the square to Ceres here, I wouldn't be surprised if something doesn't come out, something more doesn't come out. Of course, we learned this week that Kevin McCarthy is not going to run for re-election, and he'll be out by the end of the year. So, yeah, there's that. And we can expect this, giving up of the past, trying to maybe evade the past, I'm thinking is more likely what the key is here. And that's especially true because notice, I know these are faint lines, but Jupiter with this inconjunct to Ceres, can you see that? 6 degrees, 6 degrees. It's just about exact by minute. Just about 10 minutes apart of exactitude, which is just a word I made up, but anyway. What we have here is an adjustment that people are going to need to make in order to be in alignment with truth. Because Jupiter, most of all, always represents healing and truth. Now, it can blow things up. It can expand things because, of course, Jupiter is expansive. And I'm not saying that every Jupiter aspect is good because it's not. It always depends on the person and their karmic path and what they're needing to learn. But since Jupiter moved into Taurus last May, and it's going to stay in Taurus, which is a fixed Earth sign, until May of next year, May 25th. But it's usually geared towards healing. And Jupiter is always connected to our belief systems. And it's meant to expand our awareness. It's meant to expand the things that we believe in. If you're going towards, you really just want the truth, right? And most of all, it'll help us to get inside of understanding things more deeply. So it can be inspiring. It can be very generous, and in Taurus especially, it can be very well tied to many forms of abundance. But for the corrupt ones, the corrupt ones who are stuck in the false belief that there's not enough, which is, at the heart of what greed really is about, then there's that stubborn greediness in it, and that can blow up as well. And with that inconjuncta Ceres, this isn't good for, for war times. This isn't good for countries who are having war. And we have to remember, the war in Israel started just a week before, which is normal for, with eclipses. Anything about 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after, we can kind of blame it on the eclipse. Well, that happened October 7th, and then, where Israel was attacked by Hamas. Yeah, so that was, the last eclipse was October 14th, or that one with that solar new moon eclipse, remember, that was really intense? That was at 21 degrees Libra. So that's just another little thing to look at. And of course, it was connected to the South Node, remember? I think the South Node was at 24, though, when it happened, because the nodes go backwards, so we've only moved 1 degree since then. But then we had that lunar full moon at 5 degrees Taurus, and Jupiter was involved there, and that was on October 28th. So we're coming, I mean, it's not done, not anywhere near, and who knows how long it's going to take, but we can see this precursors to eclipses and to aspects to the nodes and how important these things are to track. So hopefully there'll be some healing that comes through, and I hope it's much, much sooner. But Jupiter and Uranus will conjunct in April of next year, April 20th. And so I hope before then healing happens, because this can't go on. But we're talking something that's been, again, back to that evangelical kind of Taliban attitude. This goes back a couple thousand years, right? So depending on how you look at it, if you want to track it through history, religious wars are the wars that take out most people. That's just been a fact. But over the last several decades, that area has had a lot of problems. So that we know of. But we can always just go back and back and back and track it that way as well. So anyway, for specificity as to things that are the slowest moving, so this one is complete there tomorrow between Neptune and the South Node. So this is really like the last day of, well, not getting in touch with it's not the last day for getting in touch with your past, but it's definitely the last day for, because I don't see transits as being done just, or the openings or the opportunities being done just because the transit is no longer in effect. But there is some strength when it comes to, making sure that you're questioning, and I'm speaking to these two aspects now, or this aspect to these 2 points, this planet and this point, to be sure that you've done as well as you can to understand your relationships in the past, to understand what the dynamics were, to understand what your motivations were. And because, to question our motivations can take us so far, why we want what we want. And, or bottom line is, whenever we're in some type of anger, although there is healthy anger, it sets boundaries, right? And it gets us moving in a certain direction. So I don't have any judgment over any of it. But whenever I'm feeling angry or resentful or upset, I always ask myself why. Like, what is it that I really, really want? And usually, it puts you into the pain of what you're not getting, right? Or what is coming at you that is disrespectful or doesn't include you, and it's just about them. Those are the dynamics that happen within relationships, and then with inside of Neptune. So we could say that this dynamic going on here, and we could just make this blanket statement and say that probably many of you know more about what you want in relationship and who you want in your life, and you don't want anybody that's still in a cult, and you don't want I'm talking about with the maggots, you don't want those kind of people around you. It doesn't mean you won't, if they're in a family or a friend or even a neighbor or anyone, it doesn't mean that we don't still love them or love at least their basic humanity, but it doesn't mean you have to be friends with them, and it doesn't mean you certainly does not mean that you need to include them in your personal life, or only in limited ways. Like, that's the way I handle it, is I just have my boundaries around how much time I would spend with them, and what I would, engage in, what conversations I would engage in with a person like that. So I'm sure that you guys have all experienced this as well, and this transit is about to be over tomorrow. Okay, so let's look at Uranus with his inconjunct up here to the sun. Now, it's almost exact. Now, every day the sun moves forward, it's going to shift. And so this really is a faster moving transit. It's really just, a couple more days. So I would say like Sunday through Wednesday, tops, probably more likely Tuesday. There could be some awareness, some new awareness. There's some light of truth that comes through. And then Uranus is like, oh, well, now that's a new take on something I hadn't thought of. Or it can help you innovate something. It can help inspire you towards something. It can help free you from an issue, or can be a big breakthrough. Or it can be a disruption as well, especially if it's tied to a relationship, or like, let's say, even a service provider of some type that you're used to working with, and then there's been some shift. And I mean, we could look at this, even though he's a Cancer, but we could look at these aspects as Elon Musk, and now we know what he's all about, right? We didn't know that a few months ago, right? We had no idea that all that was in there, but it's clear now. So Ceres and Mars will help us become, this conjunction here will help us become, because Ceres is going to move into an inconjunct as well with Uranus as it moves forward. So we're going to know more and more and more about all types of people. And then Ceres right now has this inconjunct to Jupiter. So, and like I was saying, this is exact. So there should be healing around what nurtures us and what doesn't. And then again, with the square to Saturn, from Ceres to Saturn, that's still in effect, there can be a very healthy boundary put in place, because you don't want to be wasting time and giving your precious energy away, to very much negativity. You want to know what's going on in the world, but just enough to know, right? And most of the time, 90% of it has nothing to do with you. Mostly it's 99% probably. It doesn't have anything to do with you, but just to be aware, so you know where to send prayers, and you know what's going on, because these people have been so corrupt that they've been teaching us who they are. And, being forewarned is forearmed. What is that saying? Something like that. Know your enemies. And then Saturn also, so I'm kind of working backwards here. So we've done Pluto, we've done Neptune. Well, I'll get in more into Neptune when I get to the moon, because there's an aspect there. Uranus, I'll do some more when we go through the moon, because there's that aspect there. But now with Saturn, besides that square to Ceres, which again is those healthy boundaries that nurture, who you are and your safety, stability, and also the direction that you want to go. Because if you're not stable, I always say this, probably will tell him blue in the face, but if we don't have nurturing stability, if we don't have safety, we can't build, right? It's like having a house built on sand. It's not going to be stable. So you need those concrete, strong foundations to build upon. And that's what Saturn's all about. Now, with the square to Ceres, we're figuring out where we're safe and where we're not, and hopefully we're moving in directions towards safety. Now, with Saturn trining Venus, and it's moving out of orb, we've got a 5 degrees of separation here, and it's a waning, it's losing its It's a separating trine from Saturn. But Venus in Scorpio is really geared towards a deeper, trusting, experience where, just think of Venus as like, it's where you invest your relationships, it's where you invest your money. It's the planet of not only relationship, money, unity, harmony, anything to do with beauty, everything that you value. And it helps us to make comparison values. And it also is all about our pleasure and our self-worth and how we think and feel about women or any feminine aspects. And when I say feminine, I'm just thinking reception, Every man has a divine feminine, and every woman has a divine masculine, and in the spirit world, it's not separate. But here on Earth, planet Earth, or this Earth school, it's definitely one of those issues that we're always dealing with, and it's part of our dualistic challenge on Earth here. So having said all that, just think of what is it that would help you feel safer, that would help you go deeper and build those spiritual foundations, or build that solid, stable foundation. Just Saturn and Pisces, think of all that creativity, all that creative effort that you can put, your positive energy into, and any type of, project that brings you happiness. And it doesn't even have to be physical. It can be just your empathy and your spirituality and your prayer and your whatever you'll devote yourself to, most of all. And seeing that big picture with the trine to Venus, these two planets can work really, really well together. Scorpio is so good for commitment and digging your heels in and saying, I'm determined. It's very determined type of energy. And it's fixed, just like Taurus is. So then Pisces, Saturn in Pisces is here going, holding space for it to be bigger than maybe you could think of on your own. And, but with Venus there, this could bring in more relationships geared in the same direction that you're wanting to go. So I see this as very, very positive. So let's see, what else? We're looking at Venus opposing Jupiter right now, and I know we had it last week. So with this here, and again, it's a separating opposition. The oppositions can bring through confrontations and conflicts, and we're looking at things, just think about those two mirrors, We're at one end and we're looking at the other and going, is that where I want to go? And they're at that end and they're looking at us and they're going, do I want to go over there? Like, what, do you want to meet in the middle, basically, is the question. And with the Venus and Jupiter themes, again, Jupiter will hold the space for expanding and healing and, hopefully bliss and happiness and abundance and all that stuff, all the good stuff. But Venus is over on the other side in Scorpio going, well, but wait, do I trust that? And this could be like a get-rich-quick scheme or pyramid scheme, or it could be even the thought of merging resources together. And so there's that confrontation and that going back and forth and trying to work things out and have that deeper understanding and make those comparison values. And then if it's right, there'll be a breakthrough of commitment because you have the same values and there's trust. Bottom line, trust, stability, safety. Those are all the things that matter most. Without that, you don't really have anything. You just have temporary relationships, temporary situations, and the opportunity for integrity to always come through. I can't tell you how many times I've gone through that with different companies in my life. It's like, okay, at a certain point you're like, I'm out of here. I am not giving them one more cent of my money for any reason. So anyway, and I've also had really good situations happen, come through where they shifted, and it was because of my push for like, what are you doing here? What's going on? What's really going on? And then they took it to their higher ups, and things shifted. I'm still in process that way with my internet service provider here. But they've been stepping up to the plate, so I can't complain. Although I've been through hell with them. Okay, so with Venus, what else with Venus? Now, you can see that we've got the sextile to Mercury that we had last week, and you can see how Venus is at 6 degrees, Mercury's at 7, and this sextile here lasts through Wednesday. So from Scorpio to Capricorn, again, so sextiles are always opportunities, but again, these opportunities to communicate as to, okay, who's doing what, right? Just think about this as a Christmas party plan, and everybody wants to get together and have fun, but they want to know who's going to be responsible for what, and who's going to commit. And these energies are perfect for that type of a conversation. And then you see who comes through and who doesn't later on, or how well it works. And I have a feeling that it could work out really well. This can be great for negotiations and planning. And it doesn't have to just be a Christmas party. It can be, plans and considerations that go well into next year and beyond. But choice points are here, opportunities are here. And again, back to Capricorn, just think of all the things that you will, like the nuts and bolts of working through something, and like what you will take responsibility and give your time to. Most of all, give your time to. Do you want to give your time to that, or are you just going to say it's because you want whoever's over here to like you? Like those considerations are always on the table, right? Now, with the Venus opposing Jupiter that I was talking about before, it's exact, today, but then it starts waning, and then it's pretty much out of orb on Friday. So again, the back and forth there with negotiations and what do you want and how do we do it, and all of that I could see as well. Yeah. And then Venus is, as it moves forward, it's going to take until Friday. I remember looking that up, but then it will become in opposition to Uranus. And that'll be in orb all the way through Christmas Day. So whatever's being worked out now as far as the expansive direction that you want to go, there could be a real breakthrough, either a breakthrough to give you what you want, or a disruption and a split to tell you, oh, no, it's not going to work out. So you really you want to make sure that you're going forward with the people and the situations that you want to go forward with, and that they're trustworthy, because if not, everything's going to not work out so well, and you'll know that by Christmas Day. Okay, so that's one important thing there. Let's see. Mercury is also trining Jupiter here. So again, and this is a separating, waning aspect. So it'll be out of orb soon. But then again, Mercury's going to go retrograde at 8 degrees and then go back over it. So whatever we've been talking about, thinking about for the last week, and whatever has been coming to a head, as far as getting to the truth and where the money's coming from, following the money, politically. This is everything to do with, like, what's his name, McCarthy leaving, and all the dirt that's been coming up, and then Trump just saying the other day, on the first day he'll become a dictator. If he got back in office, on the first day he will turn into a dictator. That's pretty much what he said verbatim. Hannity was interviewing him and trying to help him out of that one, but he put himself in there hard. So Trump put himself back in that position hard. So he told us who he is, right? How many times do we need to hear it? So all the cult followers that want to follow that dictator, they are going to go through some challenging times in the future because, well, shoot. Just imagine your life review, and imagine you voted for this guy, voted him in, or tried to vote him in twice, and you're still holding on to him. Like, imagine what that soul has to confront when they cross over, because of all the darkness and all of the corruption and all of the pain and suffering that he has created on the planet. Think of all those children that got separated from their parents and put into cages, and how many have never got back together with their parents either. Parents got deported back to the country, kids got stuck in the USA, and who knows where. So, whew. Goodness knows forgiveness is always there, but boy, that would be quite a reckoning. And to all the dark, corrupt ones who want to hold these positions of power, the only thing that makes sense to me is that they don't believe in reincarnation, that they don't believe that there's anything beyond this lifetime, and they just are in this, like, take as much as they can attitude. So, yeah. Okay, what else? I think that's it. Now, from Mercury there, we've got the trine, we've got the sextile. Oh, Venus, sextile, and then trine down here to Jupiter. We do have the aspect of the architect right here. So for us, this can be a wonderful opportunity to think about, because remember, Mercury isn't just the way we communicate, it's what we think about, it's what we analyze, it's what we negotiate, it's how we find patterns and connect the dots and then translate the information. And so whatever we come deeply into an understanding with, because of the trine to Jupiter, and we make those comparison values with Venus, we can really create something solid here. That's just a really nice aspect to have. Let's see, and now we'll go to the Sun and Mars, and then I'll go to the Moon. So the Sun conjunct Mars, of course, is a lot of directional energy, fiery energy. Both are in, the Sun shines a spotlight, the Sun gives life, the Sun brings something to our attention. It has to do often with fathers, leaders, authorities. It can illuminate something, but it definitely will focus our attention and bring awareness to something. And with Sag, we're talking politics, we're talking the church, we're talking religion, politics. But we're also talking about intuition. We're also talking about freedom and speaking up and travel. We're thinking about things that bring meaning into our lives because, of course, it's ruled by Jupiter, like I said earlier. And the worst, just on the dark side, we're talking about ridiculous patriotism and religious dogma. So we can expect to still see some, more of that this week. That's not going away. But some people, because the Sun is in that second decan, moving into the third, some people will be learning some painful lessons. In politics, the politicians and these so-called religious leaders. There's that, that lesson type of experience with the second decan of any sign. So, but for us personally, I feel like we can really, really make some headway when it comes to speaking up for ourselves, to having faith in ourselves, believing in ourselves, figuring out what we what really brings meaning into our lives, what we really believe in. So if you're up against a false belief, and that may very well be the case with all these trines here to the North Node with Chiron, there's so much energy here for healing false beliefs as to how much you matter, how much you can trust your instincts to move forward, as long as you're aligned with the forces of love and you're not invading someone else and you're not making demands on other people. And if you're not in defense around being left out, or if you're not needing to be first, and if you're not coming from abandonment issues and you're just basically not being impulsive, what you're really in, if you're not in those things with Aries, is you're present. You're present, and you're in alignment with asserting yourself in a positive direction. And there is a lot of support for that here. Let's see. What else? I think it's okay now to go to, well, let's see. We did the inconjunct to, did I talk about the inconjunct to Uranus? 18 to 20? I think I did. If you're not going in the right direction, you'll get the guidance because there'll be an adjustment that comes through. If you're tuned in, you'll get the right information. So don't worry about it. Yeah, the rest of those I've covered. So now let's go to the moon. There's a lot happening with the moon. And the moon in Scorpio now in the second decan of Scorpio, this is like a precursor of what's to come, because we're going to have the new moon coming through when the moon's going to conjunct with the sun. It'll be at 20 degrees of Sag. So the moon now in Scorpio, having had its little sojourn, remember we had it cross over the South Node and we had it conjunct Venus. Now it's backing off of Venus or moving forward away from Venus. And it's approaching this exact opposition with Uranus. So again, there's going to be some new awareness. There could be some secrets that come out politically that could seem to be shocking to some people. It probably won't be to us. We'll be like, oh yeah, it doesn't surprise me at all. But we also have the trine to Neptune going on, or coming into exactitude there. So maybe something that could be surprising to some cult members, to some maggots, that maybe will shift them, because sometimes it's like you can take it and take it and take it and still stick with it, and then there's just something that just breaks it, right? Like the last straw on the camel's back. And so, let's just pray that let's just set the intention, and this is especially true with a new moon, all this week, we could say this is the best time to set our intentions, because new moons are always about intentions. But there's something that's coming up, something that's we're deeply understanding in a new way. And we can set the intentions for everyone to wake up, everyone to have truth in their life, everyone to understand that love is really the only way to go. And this new moon, as in, with all new moons, their effects can last for up to a whole month. So the sign of whatever the new moon is going to talk to us about the kinds of affairs that are activated. And moving into Sag is going to be about truth. Truth to politics, truth with religious dogma, truth with whatever truth needs to come out. That can happen with this new moon. But for today, we need to focus on the fact that there's that opposition, possibility for breakthrough with Uranus to help us wake up, to help us renew something, to help us reinvigorate, to help us reinvent ourselves in some way. And it'll heighten every day or every hour the moon goes by, and next day or two it's still going to be an orb with Uranus there. So that's this is a good aspect. And yeah, what else? I think that's about it. Yeah, let me go ahead and go to Monday. So for Monday, you can see the moon's already in Sag, early 5 a.m. in the morning, and it's moving close very quickly to connecting with Ceres. Now, with that information in there, there's again that directional focus into what nurtures yourself. What is it that you need to know to best take care of yourself and those that you love? And it's also, Ceres is also connected to grief and separation. So if you've lost a loved one, if you've lost one of your fur babies, if you're connected to all the grief and separation that's gone on in Ukraine and Israel, it's just, sometimes we just have to let our feelings flow and, don't push. I never, ever recommend pushing feelings down. Unless it keeps you from, let's say you're in an emergency type of situation and you have to hold your rational mind together to prevent someone from being hurt or to get them to the hospital or something like that. Those things happen, and then we tend to fall apart later on, and that's perfectly normal. So but on the positive side, the moon connected to especially early morning and then through noontime, connected to Ceres, can really help us get in touch with plans for the future, plans for stocking up for the winter, plans for anything to do with nurturing ourselves and nurturing our home. And maybe, too, there's some information that comes through if you're working through a false belief. And that's especially true because we have a sextile to Pluto here. You could be working through some false beliefs as to your maternal imprint, because Ceres is definitely related to maternal imprints. So if you had a challenging mother, or if you had a very loving mother and she's crossed over, and it's very possible that you could have some connection that comes through. And that's especially true because Venus is also sextiling Mercury still. So all of us mediums that want to, connect with a loved one who's crossed over can really get inside of something today. Get some information that maybe you didn't know when you were little. And you want to know, like, how was that? What really happened, right? So because our mothers will only imprint onto us what was imprinted onto them that they weren't able to work through and clear, once they became moms. So, yeah, that's one thing that's important to remember. Let's see, what else with the moon today? There's a little semi-square to the south node that just has to do with taking action. Actually, no, that's not to the moon, that's to Ceres. So that would have to do with taking action to nurture yourself, and especially maybe something that has to do with relationships, fairness and equality, staying balanced. Yeah, and then we also have Mars in that same semi-square aspect to Pluto. So there would be action that can be taken to feel safer and especially to come from your integrity, to be prepared, is what I'm hearing there. So, that can play out very fundamentally, just as in like shopping and storing food and stocking up. Let's see, what else? Uranus has an inconjunct here to Mars happening today. So again, wait, I'm sorry, it's the sun. Yeah, that's too many degrees there. 19 degrees to 19 degrees here, so we have an exact quincunx inconjunct, so there's an adjustment. So again, something has shifted to the point that you're aware there's the light is shining and there's great awareness as to what can provide more safety. That's really good. Or maybe it's actually which direction to go in order to shore up your finances and make more money. There's that possibility too. Let's see, Jupiter still has that in conjunct to Mars going on. Wait, is it Mars? No, it's still Ceres. That's right, Mars is, we had that already. It's just Ceres. So again, back to the storing up food. It's what I just keep getting there. It's like something so basic and fundamental, but yeah. Like, who can't have some extra water stored up in the garage or something? You know what I do is, like, you buy vinegar, like, for your coffee maker and stuff, or washing vegetables and all that, fruit and vegetables. When those big heavy duty plastic jugs, which I don't would never use for drinking, but just to have water stored in your garage, I rinse those out really good and then fill those with water and stick them in the garage, rather than recycle the vinegar jugs. So that it's just simple, stupid stuff like that. That's a Uranus Ceres connection right there. That's a ridiculous example. So, okay, so let's go ahead and go to Tuesday. So Tuesday, we have the new moon, 20 degrees Sag, 40 minutes. And look at these aspects. It's so amazing. So I don't know how many trines. I can't even count them all. Coming over to, the connection's still there to Chiron, but the North Node and Eris. And so talk about fiery energy that can really be a force for healing. And then here's a key. Like, I don't talk about this very often, but the more you work through, this is a spiritual law, and this is something that I've experienced myself, that the more you work through your own false beliefs, which also carry tons of pain to process through, trauma to process through, because basically, we're dealing with our real needs as a little one growing up. Like, it goes back to that place where we have to stay connected to our parents in order to survive. And if our parents are distorted or not present or not encouraging, neglectful, abusive, whatever they've done or not done to us or not done for us, we carry that until we heal it. And in the process, here's the point I'm trying to make, in that process of healing it, you become more psychic. You become more intuitive. You become more empathic. And so that's a pretty good reason to want to heal, isn't it? Because to be connected to your own guidance system is probably the most important thing in your life. Because if you learn to trust yourself, if you believe in yourself and you learn to trust yourself, and I'm not coming from a place of, like, I'm never saying, like, put yourself on a pedestal. You never want to be in your, like, spiritual pride. There's all types of pride, there's spiritual pride, there's intellectual pride, there's vanity, there's I've got more money than you, that kind of, more toys than you. It's like, grow up. But anyway, coming from that, if you're coming from those places, then you've got some hard lessons to learn. And that's exactly what, Pluto and Capricorn, that sojourn from 2008 has taught us so much with politicians and CEOs. And I mean, just think about, like, look what the Me Too movement brought through, and look at all the people who've been locked up and are in prison right now. Except, Bill Cosby got out. Oh, man. But anyway, Harvey Weinstein is there. He's locked up. Derek Chauvin's locked up. A lot of people are locked up. Most of the people who were the rioters at the January 6th insurrection, they're locked up, and now we're waiting for them to work their way through work their way up the food chain, basically. So, but anyway, to be connected to your guidance system is definitely a Sagittarian quality. It's a Jupiter quality, and it's if you're aligned with the laws of love, that is your true protection. In fact, it's your only protection, because everything else is just a mental, like, you think you're just going to use your mental throwing up a shield. Well, unless you're coming from love, there's always going to be something, coming at you. So anyway, what else with okay? Oh, I know what I need to talk about mostly, because we don't have. There's the square to Neptune, and that has everything to do with your your connection to your higher self, your connection to source, your connection to spirit. But it also can be the challenge to work through your distortions, to figure out what you need to dissolve, and those would be the false beliefs. So, just when you're working through your false beliefs about yourself, that came from your wounding from your parents, but also came from past life wounding, because that's what causes us to choose our parents. And the deal with the square to the new moon and Neptune would be just a tension field that, once you work through it, can turn into a great strength. So you can really make some headway, and we're dealing with the last decan of Sagittarius energy. So we're talking about something in our lives that can be a deep, deep lesson, and then we can shift our focus into something very strong and solid. Because, of course, we're moving towards Capricorn energy after that. So getting in touch with what you believe in. Is it true what you've been believing in that's been causing you so much pain? Or is it just something that has needed to heal? And so Sagittarius energy can really help us get on our path. And it can help us search for the things that need to be healed. It can help us to take some opportunities that weren't there previously. And so we don't want to waste that energy, right? We don't want to just go in the wrong direction and get stuck. But you can see that people who are deluded and cult-like, this new moon is not going to be easy for them. And this new moon is exactly on Trump's moon and his south node. This new moon won't be easy for him. He's going to be set in a certain direction that, if he doesn't get off of it, he's taken himself down, basically. So anyway, when it comes to who this new moon, let's just say you need to know where this is in your chart. You need to know where 20 degree Sag is in your natal chart. And that would be, so whatever house that's in, that will be the area of your life where you can really make some great intentions and really do some good things and have some good results come through within the next month, maybe even by the next full moon. So with a new moon, the way it works with a new moon is, besides the effect of 1 month, sometimes it can last that long, you could look at aspects even within 10 degrees from, so if you have any planets, or if you have your ascendant, IC, descendant, or the midheaven, any of these 4 hot points, anywhere between 10 degrees of Sag to 30 degrees, or 29 degrees, because we don't go to 30, 29 degrees of Sag. Well, I guess it'd be 0 degrees of Scorpio. Anything in between there on any planets, planets or hot points, nodes, or any of the other planets, this could be really important for you. So you're going to blend the energies of whatever contact, or planet that it's making. So, like imagine it's Venus. Imagine you have Venus at 20 degrees Sag or 10 degrees Sag, or even all the way back to 0 degrees Scorpio. Then this new moon will be really important for you in your relationships and your ability to create more harmony in your life and your ability to bring more money in, and most of all, to figure out what brings value and meaning into your life, what matters to you most, because that's a very Venusian quality there. And even the opposite of the oppositions and the squares. Now, if you're gonna use the opposition, like let's say it's the opposition, of course, would be Gemini, but squares, things like that, you're going to narrow down. You're going to, well, at least I do. I narrow down the degree there to just 3 degrees. You wouldn't go as wide. So it would be well, actually, with the opposition, you can go the same, but when it comes to the squares, keep it at 3 degrees. So we would be, down to like, 17 degrees of Sag to 23 degrees of Sag. If it's squaring. And I tend to use the same rules as I would with an eclipse, as I really just look at the that narrow, 0 to 3 degree aspect if it's a square, and only to the luminaries, only to your moon and your sun and moon. But you can, like if you have, notice how we have it square on Neptune, you can feel it out and see if it really did, hit you that way. Yeah. So, okay, let's see. Anything else with this? Just to talk more about the new moon. Of course, you can see that we have a double sextile to the south node. So again, and we've got that aspect of the architect going on there between both of the nodes and Eris. So, like I was saying, Sunday, this has been building up to this aspect, and again, the aspect of the architect brings through those opportunities to create something solid and long-lasting in your life. Let's see. So opportunities with relationships and building bridges that are courageous and support your path, your life path. This is really important for that. This new moon is amazing for that, actually. But yeah, and most of all, dissolving those false beliefs. And you can see that we have two of, well, it's the sun and the moon that is right there in that, in conjunct to Uranus. So as long as you're tuned in to anything that can help innovate your life, anything that could help bring more freedom into your life, you'll be going in the right direction. So, okay, let's go ahead and go to Wednesday. So with Wednesday, wait, Tuesday. I forgot. Tuesday night, 11:10 p.m. Oh, I forgot to give you the time. Let me go back again. The Sag new moon, I forgot to tell you, I'm so sorry. 3:32 p.m. is when it happens. Okay, so that's when it's exact, but it doesn't matter. As soon as you watch this video, start setting your intentions, and you can still keep setting them days after. Okay, so now let's go back to Tuesday night, and that is 11:10 p.m., and we have Mercury going retrograde, or Mercury stations retrograde at 8 degrees. It's going to go back to about 22 degrees Sag within this process. But so wherever this is showing up in your chart, fear not, fear not, but accept that you may be misunderstood, accept and just understand that you may have to do some things over that are something solid that you've been working on. You may have to redo because you find a better way. And so it's not a bad thing, but it's like, oh, I thought I was done. Well, shoot, now, okay, well, I got to rework this. So it can be really good for inventing something new. or for reinventing something that you already had, or even inventing something new. But when it comes to, wherever this is hitting in your chart, again, back to what house is it in? That's going to be the area of your life that you'll be working with. So Capricorn is, on the good side, willing to do something. It's goal-oriented. It has to do with making plans and creating opportunities. It's good for structuring things, for just figuring out the nuts and bolts of things. It's our sign that has to do with self-responsibility and putting in the time and the work and basically your sense of duty to yourself. Now, the only place, some of the ways we can get into trouble with Capricorn energy is if there's and you can definitely understand with Pluto and Capricorn what we've been experiencing is these CEOs who are just abusers of who have abused other people's money, resources. And that's especially something that could come through, Venus in Scorpio, that could, show us what's happening there. So the deal with Capricorn and the negative side, it can be like just thinking too much about material things when it would be better served, or it would serve you better to kind of lift up and try and see the big picture and not worry so much about, just the physical structure of life. Try to get into the Aquarius and Pisces energy of thinking big picture and getting out of the structures. It's Mercury retrograde in Capricorn is going to be awful for dictators and autocrats all over the planet, and people who manipulate opportunities for themselves. People who just try to control reality for, Well, I mean, it's like, just look at Mitch McConnell when he gets stuck, That's for sure. Mercury, Capricorn, Pluto, Capricorn. That's pretty much it. That's the best way I could explain it. It'd be a place where you just all of a sudden freeze up and you can't talk, because you've been so controlling all of your entire life. I still wish him all the best in his healing, and I do see that he is standing up for fighting against Trump and the insurrection. I do see that he has a little bit of a sense of humor still, and so the best thing we can do is just send him lots of love. But that's just, I had to give that example of, Mercury and Capricorn retrograde. If you've been controlling in the past, if you've abused the Capricorn energy, it can be like a mental freeze. So again, back to, what Mercury is all about is that, it helps us to negotiate things. It helps us to link, like in our brains, it would have to do with connecting to the next thing. Connecting the dots, figuring out what even, how to articulate yourself, how to analyze something, how to have a rational thought. So this can actually be really good for writers. This Mercury retrograde can bring you back into a really, really good time if you've been writing a book for editing. It could get you back into a book that you had been writing and you put it away, or any essay or any project. This will be good for students to help go back into something. Remember, retrogrades always bring in the element of redoing, reevaluating, going deeper, looking within. Retrogrades are internal forces. And so it's going to be pretty good. I think it'll go all the way back to 22 degrees, if I remember correctly. And it won't go direct until January 2nd next year. So, that's not that long. It's about 3.5 weeks. And, a third of the population is born with Mercury retrograde. I'm one of those. So it just, basically what that means is that it takes till you're about 30 before you find your voice, and you tend to be just very internal and quiet until then. And then just try to shut me up after that, right? So, but anyway, it doesn't matter what planet it is when it's retrograde. It just means that you're more internally focused. And I don't see that as a bad thing. Except, Saturn retrograde, nobody likes that because Saturn moves slow enough anyway. I mean, as a crystallizing type of a pattern, no one likes those delays. So let's see. With this Mercury retrograde, as it starts moving back, we will continue to, we might have, it will. We'll have a trine coming back to the south node because the south node's going this way. And so we can kind of see a pattern forming here, or kind of see, we can see it. This pattern is that Mercury's here, it's going this way. It's going to go back to 22 degrees. The south node is here at 23 Libra, and it takes a long time. It's not going to make it back until, oh my goodness, it's 2025, I think. So more than a year. It's January 2025 so this sextile happening here, it'll be Mercury going back and hooking up to the south node that's just been sitting there waiting. And so if there's more connections that need to be made into understanding relationship patterns and remembering relationships are mirrors, either they mirror the light, the love, and the truth and the beauty that you are back to you, and that doesn't mean that they don't, they're not honest about if you need help with figuring out a fault or figuring out a human element that we're trying to work through. But it does mean that that we're connected with people that we love and people that love us, and we trust each other. That's really an important thing to understand. When it comes to communication in relationship, communication is key. If we don't have communication, we don't really have much. It's the key to understanding. It's the key to healing. It's the key. Communication is so important. So solid communication coming from our integrity is the opportunity. Communicating with yourself and figuring out who your authentic, real self is, and allowing that to come through in all of your relationships. And I mean, you have those people that it's really easy to talk to. You guys just get each other. Those are the relationships that grow. So I'm seeing this being the pattern for the this entire period of Mercury retrograde. Let's see. I think that's it. I'll just keep an eye on it as we go forward. Okay, so now I'll be able to go a little more quickly. So here's Wednesday. And I'm just going to focus on the moon, the aspects to the moon. So the moon's at 28 degrees Sag. With being at that nth degree, it's just has to get to 29:59, and then it'll be into Capricorn. So that we'll have that tomorrow, but or actually later today. So December 13th, Wednesday, with that late degree there of Sag, I have a feeling that there's some new or stable something that has come through that really helps you on your path, that really helps you believe in yourself. And there's, with the sun there, look at all these trines coming down to courageous Eris in Aries. And there's just so much of a nice flow of energy. Fiery energy, though. It could move really quickly. Yeah. Ceres and Mars is still in tight orb there. They're tight enough, that's for sure. And the sun is, we have, yeah, no, actually that's the moon. Yeah, okay. So, but the sun's still an orb there too, and it's moving forward with this sextile to Saturn. Again, back to those path-orienting spiritual foundations that have been being built, with this sojourn of Saturn in Pisces, which will last all the way through to February of 2026. Not the sextile here, but Saturn in Pisces. We don't have Saturn move into Aries until February 2026. So spiritual foundations this next couple of years, man, lovely. Okay, now we also have the moon and the sun squaring Neptune. So the square might bring in a little confusion. Just stick with what is it you want, and how do you get there, and who do you go with, and ask your guides, your guardian angels, ask all the higher selves of the people involved, ask to be in alignment with each other, ask for that spiritual support, and you'll get it, and then that strength will come through. And the challenge here is to not doubt yourself. Oops, what the heck happened here? Come on. That wasn't supposed to happen. I didn't touch a thing. Plugged in? Okay. Woohoo. So, okay. Yeah, I think that was it. So clear out the self-doubt. Just stay focused on the direction you want to go, and everything will work out fine there. Yeah. And your spiritual foundation. Okay, Thursday, December 14th, the moon has crossed over Mercury, so there's been some more communication, and especially something solid has probably come through. And we have this awesome trine down to Uranus. The moon to Uranus is a wonderful breakthrough that can lead to something very solid. And again, as long as you're going to take self-responsibility for creating your own reality, and know that that doesn't mean that you have to be perfect, and that doesn't mean that life on Earth school is perfect, because it's not. It's a dualistic planet. It's an equal opportunity planet. Everyone gets to keep reincarnating here in order to heal. And so that means we're walking around mixing with all kinds of energies. But your love is your only protection. If you're going to hate the dark ones, then you're going to attract darkness. So know that. Remember that. It's never a good idea to put negativity out towards anyone, no matter what. You can tell the truth. You can say you don't like that. You not just whatever, for sure, never align with it. But if you want to see them, physically hurt, if you want to see them, me, I always just I want them in a jail cell or a prison. It's like, think about what they did, but I don't want them hurt. So you want to stay clean that way, because if you have hate thoughts going out towards them, it's just going to come back to you, and you don't want that. Nobody wants that. That's my belief. And if you don't believe that, that's okay too. We can all get along. So with the moon, with this trine down to Uranus, there can be some big breakthrough today that helps you build a stronger, solid foundation. And of course, the moon's headed towards Pluto. This can be very powerful. We're building our power. We're building our solid ability to communicate, and we're reworking maybe areas and issues where we've had a hard time communicating or a hard time getting in touch with our self-responsibility. And with the trine down to Uranus, there can be a breakthrough of all of that coming through today. The moon at 12, Uranus at 19. This is, hours and hours that this will last, and that's a good thing. And again, there's still that sextile of, because Venus is at 11, the moon's at 12, so we still have that sextile, we still have this aspect of the architect, and this has been building all week long. Again, with the relationships that you can trust, resources that you can trust, and if you can't, you'll figure out, a way through it. But with this aspect of the architect, I'm thinking by now things are getting pretty solid. Okay, let's go to Friday. Friday, we have the moon conjunct Pluto, 5 a.m. So waking up in the morning, and actually even Thursday, I would say, all of this Capricorn influence here is pretty much, it is slower. It's much slower moving than the Sag energy, but with all the Sag energy, I can't say that it's a slowing down of anything. I can just say that it's very path-orienting and then very, duty-bound. So for us personally, I'm thinking that something we have solidly developed plans coming through. And this is really good now, but we do have, because Pluto's been squaring Eris, now the moon is there. I think this brings through the opportunity, even though it's a challenge, but there's a tension field, but opportunity to really hunker down and decide whatever it is that you're wanting to work on. Like, will you commit? The things that you have committed to should be working out really well. The moon has been squaring even, early in the morning, no matter how early you get up, the moon squaring the south node is most likely, and you can see it's moved a degree back to that 22 degrees. And so there's that hookup coming between Mercury and the south node there that I was talking about. So again, there's just still, even though the moon is going to move past and into Aquarius later today, what is still going to stay in place, of course, Pluto's sitting there and Mercury's sitting there in Capricorn, and it's all headed towards whatever you've committed to in the past, and you're figuring out if it's working out for you or not. And then it could have the effect of, because of course, remember with Venus opposing Uranus, that I was saying was going to come through. There it is. And this is in orb until Christmas Day, okay, this opposition. So all this combination, best way I can summarize it concisely is that if you're focusing in on resources and relationships that are trustworthy and really willing to put in the effort and the hard work to take self-responsibility and not push it away, not let it slide, do your due diligence, then things will work out eventually for the best, for your benefit. So, okay, so let's go to Saturday, December 16th. Now, of course, like I said, the moon's in Aquarius already, and it's just about midway through. So all those plans that have been developed, I think there's probably even some new thinking outside the box, and especially because the moon this morning is in T-square to Venus and Jupiter, right here, see? So this is a whole lot of fixed energy. Aquarius is fixed, Scorpio and Taurus are fixed energies. So I think even though you're thinking outside the box, you're still really super focused in on what it is that you want, and you're not giving up. I don't think there's anyone, that's giving up. Now, on the dark side, when it comes to, politicians, this could be very stubborn energy. This is This is like George Santos. George Santos being finally expelled out of the house, and his basically like, fuck all y'all as he's walking out. and then he proceeds to get himself on some type of I forget what platform it was, but now he's like selling videos of himself. It's like, oh yeah, we want that, sure. Anyway, he's probably going to write a book and tell all. I'm sure he'll spill some secrets. But when I see this configuration, I think of him, because the polarity between Venus and, Scorpio and Taurus, those are sex scandals. And we could be seeing something like that, especially over this next week. This opposition of Venus and Uranus could be something shocking. Yeah, okay, but for us, this is just one of those mornings, I think, where there might be a little stubborn energy, and it could very well be because the moon rules the family and the public, but it could very well be like waking up and you've got kids or some other family members going with some new idea, saying, I want to do this or this, let's do this, we want to do something that's fun. And then we've got this tension field of Jupiter and Venus in Taurus and Scorpio saying, but wait, can we really afford that? Or is that the way we want to spend the money? Because wait, I thought we were committed to trying to save the money for that down payment on either the car, the house, or whatever it is, or paying off the loan. But now you want to go spend $200 and do what for today? It's like, what now? Could be something like that. Let's see, anything else? There's that little semi-square there to Neptune. So again, back to the, is that an action that you really want to take? You need, with Neptune in Pisces, you really need to think of the big picture. And it could be something as simple as like renting a movie that's now $20, and if you wait for a couple of months or so, it'll be $5 or $6, that kind of thing. These are like just basic examples. And what else? We've got the square from the Sun to Neptune as well. See how this is exact here? Just about exact. But within degree it is, just minutes it's not, but whatever. With that square, and I'm thinking about movies and media and all of that, because Neptune and Pisces are both the rulers of film and, movies, things like that, movies, media. Sag is definitely focused on, that's geared quite a bit towards social media. So there could be something challenging that comes out today. We might know something. Saturdays are when I do live streams with Lori until Lisa is back she'll be back on the 23rd, I think. And who knows what might come through with readings, there. There could be something shocking. Yeah. Other than that, I think that's it. I think I'm done. I can't think of anything else to say. And I'm just going to go ahead and get this uploaded and send you big hugs ahead of time, you guys. Take good care. Bye.